Well, good morning. I'd like to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us. My name is Frank Clegg. I'm the CEO of Canadians for Safe Technology, which is a national volunteer-based organization that focuses on improving the safety guidelines for Canadians dealing with wireless radiation from electronic devices. In my previous role as the president of Microsoft Canada, I witnessed the incredible benefits that can come from technology. I also witnessed, though, the risks that can happen if technology is not implemented properly. And in my opinion, the current guidelines that we're deploying wireless devices across Canada is a risky venture and is not safe for Canadians. I follow this technology over most of my career, as you can imagine, and I even think I had hopefully a positive change in this happening. So it's no secret that Canadians are using technology more and more aggressively and to take advantage of all the benefits. And that's why we need to have standards that are the best that's possible. I'm not saying that we should eliminate technology, but I am saying that we need to use it safer. And I don't think it's acceptable that Canada's guidelines are behind significantly countries such as China and Russia. So we need to do a lot better job. This is a very critical time that we're in. The forecasts are for the growth in technology to continue. And in fact, the acceptance of technology may actually accelerate. We're here today to talk about the Safety Code 6 and the Royal Society's expert panel, and that talks about the exposure guidelines for wireless radiation from devices such as cell phone towers and antennas, smart meters, mobile phones, baby monitors, and Wi-Fi and other devices associated with that. And in fact, the report today is almost worse than anything we thought, to be honest. We had hoped that there would be some acknowledgement of the impacts from wireless radiation and a requirement to improve Safety Code 6. And instead what we got was acknowledgement that there might be improvements needed, but let's go and do more studies. And that's not appropriate. We think that Canadians need help today. Safety Code 6 was created in 1979 and has not really been improved in any significant way since then. It protects people against thermal radiation and thermal effects. So in other words, if there's heating of your skin or your body, but it ignores and does not take into account any biological effects. We have peer-reviewed studies from around the world from scientific and medical professionals that have published documentation and studies that show harm to humans at levels significantly below Safety Code 6. Unfortunately, this report either dismisses them or does not address the input that they've received from Canadians and from the scientific and medical community from around the world. Let me give you an example. Dr. Martin Blank, who's a retired associate professor from Columbia University, in a statement to the Royal Society back at the end of October said, "We have been assured by physicists who explain that only ionizing radiation, so like X-rays and gamma rays, can knock electrons out of atoms and cause chemical changes. What the physicists say is true, but is completely irrelevant in biology. The Royal Society should be speaking to biologists who have published thousands of peer-reviewed studies documenting adverse effects from non-ionizing radiation. Better still, Health Canada should be relying on testimony from the cells themselves." Dr. Blank spent over 40 years researching stress and cellular level and DNA level, so I think he's a pretty credible individual. He is also was on the peer review for the Royal Society report, so if there's any of you who have questions for him, he'll be glad to take phone calls from you from his home on Vancouver Island. There's other peer-reviewed studies and published material that was not taken into account or recognized in the report. Kids developing their brains and bone absorb radiation 10 times that of adults. A pediatric neuroscientist and physician from Harvard Medical School has published studies that show Wi-Fi radiation and cell tower radiation have a disorganizing effect on children and impact their ability to learn and remember. She has other studies that point to a probable causal link to some forms of autism. A group of participants from Yale University identified and published a study, again peer-reviewed, published study, that showed behavior problems that resemble ADHD caused by cell phone exposure of mice in the womb. Last summer, there was a group of scientists from Sweden that published a study that showed a link between wireless radiation from cell phones and cordless phones and glioma, which is a very aggressive type of cancer in the brain. As of March 1st of this year, in Belgium, it is illegal to sell or market cell phones to children under 10 years of age. So our question is, where is Canada in terms of all of these, particularly focusing on protecting children and pregnant women? In the 2009 Safety Code 6 update, the following sentence, that some individuals are susceptible to harm from wireless radiation, was inexplicably removed. This sensitivity is known as electrosensitivity or electrohypersensitivity. And estimates are that about 3% of the population is currently electrosensitive. And there are forecasts that that could be as high as 20% of the population. Because electrosensitivity can develop over time. It's not necessarily something that you're born with. To put that 3% number in perspective, about 1.7% of Canadian children have a peanut allergy. Only unlike peanuts, you can't walk away from wireless radiation. Royal Society also received input from physicians across Canada that talked about the rapid increase in the number of individuals and patients that are coming into their office showing the symptoms of electrosensitivity. With us today we have Veronique Riopelsi. She will be willing to take any questions you have about electrosensitivity. We believe we're at a tipping point when it comes to the implementation of technology. I've talked about the rapid acceleration of the devices and the tremendous benefits that can come from it. If history serves properly, then the next Safety Code 6 update may not happen until 2017. When I talk to school boards, they tell me that they rely on Safety Code 6 when they make the decision to put Wi-Fi in schools for children of all ages and all grades, many hours a day, many days of the week. When I speak to counselors in cities or towns or small municipalities, they tell me they don't have the expertise to really evaluate the impacts of wireless radiation, so they rely on Safety Code 6. And in fact, even if they wanted to get involved with that topic, Industry Canada tells them directly that anything to do with health effects of wireless radiation, particularly cell towers, is outside their purview and their considerations would be not evaluated. Electrical and water utility providers rely on Safety Code 6 when they deploy smart meters on our homes and on our offices. So that is why Safety Code 6 is so vital. I hear daily from teachers and parents, scientific and medical researchers just saying that Safety Code 6 is not up to the level, has not kept up with the rapid deployment of technology to keep us safe. So we're here today to talk about the process and the content around the report from the Royal Society. Back in May of 2013, once we saw the members of the panel and it was published, we started writing letters to the Royal Society escalating the issue that we're very concerned. It's one-sided, industry focus, and there will be a biased review of the science. We do believe that we do believe in the science. However, it should reflect actual evidence, and it should be impartial. The original chair of the expert panel for the Royal Society had to resign when it was disclosed by the CMA Journal article that he had an undisclosed industry conflict. We know there are other panel members that have similar related conflicts with industry. We requested full disclosure from the Royal Society of all the panel members and all potential conflicts, and they refused to give it to us. In addition, we do not believe that the Royal Society went through and followed international scientific research business best practices. One of the key points of that is full transparency, and there is very, very limited transparency in terms of the key decisions and scientific research that they considered. I believe we have a press kit for you that has a fact sheet. I know it's on our website, and in there there's a very high-level summary of some of our other concerns with the Royal Society report. I hear from Canadians daily on the health issues from wireless radiation. It can be headaches, and it's interesting, different people, everybody seems to have different sort of symptoms, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why we're having such a hard time getting our arms around this condition. But they talked to me about headaches, racing hearts. We've heard cardiac arrest situations, eye and ear problems, inability to sleep properly, nausea, and in some cases even mental confusion and disorientation. I'm hearing more stories about individuals who cannot work anymore because of the radiation in their work environment, and some individuals, sadly enough, who've been forced out of their homes because of the placement of a cell tower, a smart meter, or Wi-Fi. So when you pull all this together, Canadians are relying on our Health Minister Ambrose to protect us and to protect our families. The Royal Society does not say in its report, nor can it say, that there is no harm from radiation levels below Safety Code 6. They just can't say it. However, we have thousands of peer-reviewed published studies that show there is harm to individuals at levels significantly below Safety Code 6. So we're here today to encourage Minister Ambrose to really, quite frankly, to shelve this report. We think it was a bad, she did not get a return on her investment, and she should not throw good money after bad. So you say there's a series of recommendations there that read pretty interesting, and they look pretty interesting, and they may be relevant. But we don't need them. Canadians need Health Canada to act now. We have enough data, we have enough evidence, we believe we've got enough science to prove conclusively that Safety Code 6 does not protect Canadians in this environment. So Minister Ambrose is building a reputation of improving transparency in Health Canada, and we applaud her for that. We think this is an excellent time for her to set up a process that's completely open and transparent, reviews the scientific research that's available today, disclose the criteria that they're using to review that science, and brings Safety Code 6 into the 21st century. So we look for the opportunity. We're ready and willing and able, hopefully, to work with Health Canada, and we'd like to make sure that all science is included in this next update of Safety Code 6. Thank you very much.
French, by any chance?
I'm sorry?
Do you speak French?
No, but Veronique, if you want to.
I'm just curious, and you can répondre aussi. So basically, your point is that the study published this morning is flawed, or?
No, the study isn't flawed. No, the conclusion of this study is flawed. Yes, I will make that statement. We believe that what they did was that if you read the report, and I haven't had a chance to read all 165 pages, but I have read some of it, and I got the people feeding me information daily or weekly or by minute, that they're saying that there may be evidence that there's harm, but there's not enough evidence, and it's kind of confusing. So let's not do anything. Let's go and study this some more. And our point is, we believe the evidence is there. And if you had a panel that wasn't conflicted, we believe that panel would have come back with some conclusions that say, yes, you need to act today. When you have 4 of the 8 panel members that have industry ties and industry conflicts and have published papers and taken positions, and you don't have a counterbalancing viewpoint, there's no surprise to us that panel came out and said, well, it looks pretty good.
Well, when you say Ottawa should act today, what do you mean by act today?
Well, we believe that they should declare that Safety Code 6 is not at the proper level, and they should go out and start talking to the people who are doing the actual research. A lot of the material that the Royal Society reviewed was reviews of studies that reviewed other studies. I'm not aware of any scientist that they talked to who did the actual research that says ADHD in children, disability, sterility, cancer. So they can talk to these people directly and say, you know what, this level should be too high, we need to take it down.
Studies are not enough, that's your point.
Well, the studies are enough, but when you have a panel that's conflicted, like, okay, I'm not a scientist, but I spent my last 2 years of my life trying to understand this, right? So you sit down and you say, okay, let's review all the scientific material, and let's make a decision if there's enough science to cause an action. And our point is, when you have 4 members that are absolutely not neutral, and the other 4 members that may be neutral, they're not going to get a fair review of the science. So what we're saying is, put together a panel that is open, transparent, disclose all their conflicts, and have them review the science and talk to the research scientists directly. We think you'll come up with a conclusion that says you need to act now and change Safety Code 6. The other thing we need to do fundamentally is they say electrosensitivity, we're not sure. Well, I'm telling you, I've talked to dozens and dozens of Canadians who are sick from wireless technology. And so what you need to do is to start protecting people who are sensitive to electrosensitivities.
C'est une chose.
Vous êtes au micro.
Donc, c'est parce que dans le fond, il y a comme deux types de population, si vous voulez. Donc, c'est une chose de baisser les normes de sécurité pour protéger la population en général, mais on se retrouve déjà avec une partie de la population qui est déjà malade en raison des technologies sans fil. Alors, à ce moment-là, pour ces personnes-là, on a besoin d'agir maintenant. Il va falloir qu'il y ait combien de pourcentage de personnes malades avant qu'on ait des actions concrètes. Donc, pour ces gens-là, on a besoin des mesures d'adaptation maintenant. Et pour la population en général, on croit qu'il y a assez suffisamment d'études scientifiques pour amener des normes plus sécuritaires et qui aussi en corrélation aussi avec d'autres pays mondiaux qui ont des normes plus basses que le Canada.
Donc, la recommandation de se pencher sur les gens qui souffrent à cause de la technologie, ça va pas assez loin.
En fait, ce qui arrive, c'est qu'ils recommandent de mettre en place un processus pour qu'ils puissent recevoir les plaintes des gens qui se disent devenir malades en raison d'une technologie sans fil. C'est une recommandation qui avait déjà été faite en 2010 lorsqu'il y avait eu un comité de santé permanent sur les effets des ondes électromagnétiques. La recommandation avait été faite en 2010 et il n'y a eu le processus n'a jamais été mis en place. Et là, on se retrouve en 2014, 4 ans plus tard, et on nous revient avec la même recommandation qu'on devrait installer un tel processus. Donc, les gens qui ont des symptômes n'ont aucun endroit, il n'y a aucun processus officiel où les gens puissent aller rapporter leurs symptômes. Et on se ramasse donc avec un pays où il n'y a aucune statistique à jour.
Vous savez bien clair, pouvez-vous nous rappeler votre nom?
Oui, c'est Véronique Riopel.
Riopel.
Merci.
You said there were thousands of peer-reviewed studies on this?
Yes.
Have you listed those somewhere?
I think that the best place to get them is the Bioinitiative report. There's a 2012 and there's a 2007. And in there, there's 25 chapters in this report. So it's a very long report where they go through by chapter and by category, and they point you to the studies and the research. And actually, that report, I think there's 32 people that wrote it, and they're the actual researchers that wrote their appropriate section of that report. Okay. One of our volunteers has actually put together like a 100-page summary of all those studies. So, if you want to give me your card, I can maybe have somebody send that to you. Is that it? Say two. Okay. See.